The cowboy believed he was simply helping a lost Apache woman find her way home. He never expected hundreds of Apache warriors to surround him the moment they reached the village. As the tribal chief stepped forward, the entire camp fell silent. Then, with tears in his eyes, the chief recognized the woman and made a revelation that left everyone, including the cowboy, completely speechless. The afternoon sun stretched across the open desert as Samuel Reed guided his horse along a quiet trail toward his ranch. He had spent the morning delivering supplies to a small settlement and hoped to reach home before nightfall. The dry wind carried sand across the ground, and the distant hills shimmered beneath the fading light. As Samuel rode past a group of desert trees, something caught his attention. A woman lay beneath the shade of a small mesquite tree. Her traditional Apache clothing was covered with dust, and she looked exhausted. A small leather pouch rested beside her, while a beaded necklace remained tightly wrapped around her hand as if it were something she refused to let go. Samuel quickly climbed down from his horse but moved slowly so he would not frighten her. He poured fresh water into a small wooden cup and placed it beside her before stepping back. After a few moments, the woman slowly opened her eyes. She looked at Samuel with caution and quietly reached for the cup. After taking a few careful drinks, she finally found the strength to sit up. "You are safe," Samuel said gently. "You do not have to be afraid." The woman remained silent. She studied his face, expecting questions or demands, but none came. Samuel handed her a piece of fresh bread and some dried fruit. "You should eat," he said. "You need your strength." She accepted the food with hesitation. "My name is Samuel," he said after a moment. The woman looked toward the distant mountains before answering softly. "My name is Nita." Samuel smiled. "It is good to meet you, Nita." She lowered her eyes. "I became separated from my people after a terrible sandstorm. I have searched for them ever since." Samuel nodded with understanding. "Then let us find your way home." For the first time since the storm, Nita felt a small spark of hope. Neither of them knew that this simple meeting in the desert would soon become a story remembered far beyond the frontier. The next morning, Samuel and Nita continued their journey before the sun rose high above the desert. The air was cool, and the trail stretched across wide valleys dotted with cactus and scattered rocks. Samuel walked beside his horse instead of riding, allowing Nita to sit comfortably in the saddle while she regained her strength. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The quiet was not uncomfortable. It gave both strangers time to think. As the morning passed, they reached a narrow stream flowing between smooth stones. Samuel filled their water canteens while Nita washed the dust from her face. She looked healthier than the day before, though signs of exhaustion still remained. "You have helped me without asking for anything," she said. Samuel smiled. "My father once told me that kindness should never come with a price." Nita looked at him with curiosity. "Did he teach you everything you know?" "He taught me to respect people before judging them." She nodded thoughtfully. As they continued walking, they reached a steep hillside where loose rocks covered the trail. Samuel carefully guided the horse while helping Nita climb over the uneven ground. Whenever she lost her balance, he offered a steady hand, then stepped back once she was safe. Late that afternoon, dark clouds gathered above the mountains. A gentle rain soon began to fall. Samuel spotted a small rock shelter beside the trail. "We can wait here until the rain passes," he said. Inside the shelter, he built a small cooking fire and warmed a simple meal. They shared bread, beans, and hot coffee while listening to the sound of rain falling outside. For the first time, Nita smiled. "It has been many days since I felt this peaceful." Samuel looked toward the entrance of the shelter. Sometimes the longest journeys become easier when someone walks beside you. Nita reached into the small leather pouch she had carried since they first met. She removed a beautiful beaded necklace made with careful craftsmanship. "My mother made this when I was very young," she said softly. "She told me to keep it close wherever life might lead." Samuel admired the necklace without touching it. "It must mean a great deal to you. It reminds me that my family is waiting." As the rain stopped, a bright rainbow appeared above the distant hills. Nita looked toward the horizon with quiet hope. "I believe we are getting close." Samuel nodded. "We will keep moving until you are home." Neither of them realized that beyond those distant hills, people had been searching for Nita for many years. Before another day had passed, the truth about her identity would surprise everyone who stood within the Apache camp. By late afternoon, Samuel and Nita reached the edge of a wide valley surrounded by tall cliffs and scattered pine trees. Nita stopped walking. She looked across the valley with hope shining in her eyes. "We are here," she whispered. Before Samuel could answer, several Apache warriors appeared from behind the rocks. They carried bows and stood quietly, watching the strangers with careful attention. Samuel remained calm. He slowly raised his empty hands. "I have come in peace," he said. The warriors did not reply. Then Nita stepped forward and spoke to them in her own language. The moment they heard her voice, their expressions changed. One warrior looked at her closely before his eyes widened with surprise. "Nita!" She smiled and nodded. Within moments, the warriors hurried toward the village, calling to the families waiting inside the camp. People came running from every direction. An older woman reached Nita first. Tears filled her eyes as she wrapped her arms around her daughter. "My child," she whispered, "I never stopped praying that you would return." Nita held her mother tightly. "I never stopped trying to find my way home." The joyful reunion brought smiles and tears throughout the camp. Then the crowd slowly became quiet. An elderly man with calm eyes and a strong presence walked forward. He was the tribal chief. The moment he saw Nita, he stopped in his tracks. For several seconds, he could not speak. Then he embraced her with both arms. "My daughter has come home." A quiet murmur spread through the gathered families. Many younger members of the tribe had believed Nita was gone forever after disappearing during the great sandstorm years earlier. The chief turned toward Samuel. "You brought her safely back to us." Samuel gave a respectful nod. "I simply helped someone who needed a way home." The chief looked at him with gratitude. "Your kindness has returned more than my daughter." He smiled warmly. "You have returned hope to our entire tribe." As evening settled over the valley, the entire tribe gathered in the center of the camp. Families formed a large circle while the tribal chief stood beside Nita. Every eye turned toward Samuel, the quiet cowboy who had brought her home. Some of the younger warriors still looked uncertain. One of them stepped forward. "Chief, we know this man returned Nita safely, but he is still a stranger. How can we be certain of his intentions?" The camp grew quiet. The chief looked toward his daughter. "Nita," he said gently, "tell us everything." Nita took a deep breath and shared the story from the beginning. She spoke of waking beneath the desert tree, weak and alone. She described how Samuel gave her water before asking a single question. She told them how he shared his food, walked beside her through the desert, and treated her with patience and respect every step of the way. "He never expected a reward," Nita said. "He only wanted to help me find my family." The warriors listened in silence. When she finished, the chief walked toward Samuel carrying a carefully crafted leather bracelet decorated with colorful beads. "This was made by our finest artisans," the chief said. "Today, I give it to you as a symbol of our gratitude and friendship." Samuel accepted the gift with both hands. "I will treasure it always," he replied. The chief smiled. "You arrived as a stranger, but you leave as a trusted friend." The people of the camp nodded with warm smiles. As the evening sky filled with stars, music and laughter spread through the village. For the first time in many years, the camp celebrated not only the return of a lost daughter, but also the beginning of a friendship that would be remembered for generations. The following morning, the valley was filled with the warm light of the rising sun. Samuel prepared his horse for the journey home while the people of the camp gathered to say goodbye. Nita walked toward him with a grateful smile. "When I believed I had lost everything, you gave me hope," she said. "Because of your kindness, I am with my family again." Samuel nodded. "I am thankful I was able to help." The tribal chief stepped forward and placed a hand over his heart. "Our home will always welcome you," he said. "You reminded us that goodness can be found in unexpected places." Samuel thanked the chief and mounted his horse. As he rode across the open plains, he looked back one last time. Nita, her family, and the members of the tribe stood together, waving until he disappeared beyond the hills. In the months that followed, the story of the cowboy who returned the chief's lost daughter spread across the frontier. It became a reminder that simple acts of kindness could build trust where fear once existed. Samuel never considered himself a hero. He simply believed that helping another person was always the right choice. Sometimes, one compassionate decision is enough to change many lives forever. Thank you for joining us on this unforgettable journey across the American frontier. Stories like this remind us that kindness, respect, and courage can build bridges where fear once stood. Samuel did not expect praise or recognition. He simply chose to help someone in need, and that single decision changed many lives forever. If you enjoyed this Wild West story, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more original frontier stories filled with unforgettable adventures, inspiring characters, and meaningful life lessons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Now we'd love to hear from you. If you had found Nita alone in the desert, would you have helped her find her way home? Tell us what you would have done in the comments below. Thank you for watching and for being part of our growing community. Until our next journey through the Old West, take care, stay kind, and remember that one simple act of compassion can leave a legacy that lasts for generations.